Thomas Bryant, a name that may not always be in the spotlight, but one with a unique blend of experience, effort, and upside. In this video, we'll break down what to expect from him in 2025-26, his role, his strengths, challenges, and what he can bring to his new team, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Let's get into it. But before we do your boy a favor and smash that like button, subscribe to keep the NBA content coming, and hit that notification bell so you stay locked in all season. Let's dive in. First, a bit of context. Bryant is a well-traveled player. He has already suited up for a number of franchises, including the Los Angeles Lakers, Washington Wizards, Denver Nuggets, the Miami Heat, and most recently the Indiana Pacers. He actually won a title with the Denver Nuggets back in 2023 and spent a few minutes here and there on the floor for the Pacers in this year's finals matchup with the eventual champion OKC Thunder. He actually began the 2024-25 season with the Miami Heat before being traded mid-season to the Pacers. With Indiana, he carved out a backup big role behind Miles Turner, showing flashes when called upon. One game in particular that sticks out to me was Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals, where he had 11 points and made 3 three-pointers in 13 minutes. Bryant's performance proved crucial after Miles Turner picked up his fourth foul, forcing the team to turn to him in a key stretch. It's that type of thing that fans should be excited for Bryant to bring to the table. Between his stint with Miami and his short stay with Indiana, Bryant put up averages of 6.5 points, 3.8 rebounds, while knocking down 50.8% of his field goals, including 32.4% of his three-point shots. Notably, when he started this past season, which is a sample size of 8 games, he averaged 12.3 points, 7.3 rebounds, 2.1 assists, and 1.1 blocks, pointing to what he can do with a larger opportunity. Fast forward to September 23rd, which is a week ahead of training camp, and the Cavs agreed to a one-year deal with Bryant, a move that has many, including your boy, stoked. According to Chris Fedor of Cleveland.com, Bryant had actually been on Cleveland's radar for months, going back to the start of free agency as it considered numerous backup bigs. Now, Fedor would go on to say that despite chatter about him possibly rebuffing all NBA offers to play overseas, Bryant opted for a one-year deal on the veterans minimum, becoming the 14th full-time member of the Cavaliers roster. Even though that is one short of the maximum, the cap-strapped Cavs are only planning to carry 14 into the season, maintaining roster flexibility and avoiding even more lucrative luxury tax bill. Ladies and gentlemen, that tells you everything you need to know right there about the direction the team is heading in, at least in regard to that remaining roster spot, which was as expected, honestly. And in Bryant, who was measured at 6'10 and 248 pounds with a 7'6 wingspan, the Cavaliers finally have a backup big with traditional size. Strengths: offensive versatility. As covered in my initial video about Bryant, one of the most intriguing skills that he brings to the table is his knack for knocking down the three ball. Bryant's ability to stretch the floor at the 5 can be a valuable asset. Now, don't get it twisted. He isn't exactly a sharpshooter, but he is comfortable enough to take that shot. The volume may leave a little bit to be desired, but I do indeed buy the viability of it. During the course of the 2024-25 campaign, Bryant managed to drill 48 triples, the most of any season in his 8-year career. Now, again, it wasn't the most efficient season considering he would finish with a three-point percentage of 32.4% between Miami and Indy, but one thing does tend to stick out, and that was his ability to knock down the corner tray.
You would expect his percentage to be even higher than it is.
That was his first made three. McConnell splits it, gets to the lane, finds Bryant. That one's good.
He completed 41.5% of his quarter triples, going 22 of 53 in the process. And what's even better than that is that he managed to carry that efficiency into the playoffs. He drilled 7 of 11, or rather 63.6% of his attempts from the left and right hand corners combined, the most efficient of any reserve center in postseason play. It's all catch and shoot at that, so he would be a dependable drive and kick option from their center position, thus opening the floor just a bit more for all. B-ball index placed him within the 68th percentile in catch and shoot three-point shooting talent. And when you watch the film, you can see that he has demonstrated proficiency in pick and pop situations, which would complement the Cavaliers' offensive schemes considering they are very pick and roll heavy.
They just love their basketball as Thomas Bryant knocks down a three.
Motor. Thomas Bryant has always been known for his relentless energy. He runs the floor well and is an effective rim runner, an attractive skill for any big to have in Cleveland. His hustle plays and offensive rebounding can in fact provide the Cavaliers with second chance opportunities. He went 84 of 125, or rather 67.2% from the restricted area, 59 of which when he came off the bench, 19th most among reserve centers. Now obviously this is not prime Tristan Thompson on the offensive glass, but he is also a very solid offensive rebounder in his own right. He pulled down 83 total offensive rebounds this year alone, more than any Cleveland reserve managed to, and by a pretty wide margin. 64 of those were contested, which lets you know he ain't afraid to go in there and mix it up a bit. Bryant actually had the 6th best contested offensive rebound percentage in basketball among players with at least 50. Having that type of talent off the bench could be beneficial, especially as it pertains to generating those second chance opportunities. B-ball index graded him pretty highly, as you can see. 84th in offensive rebounds per 75 possessions, 95th in putback scoring impact per 75 possessions, the 93rd percentile in putbacks per 75 possessions, and the 68th percentile in offensive rebounding conversion skill. Interior defense. While Thomas Bryant may not be very switchable, he is quite an effective interior defender. This past season for Miami and Indiana, he placed within the 93rd percentile in rim protection, the 84th in post defense, the 96th in rim disruption, which is a value capturing talent disrupting at the rim, factoring in frequency and disruption of shots at the rim and quality of players defended. And in addition to that, he placed within the 88th percentile in help defense talent and has actually been effective against the screen, particularly picking up the ball handler while in containment. As such, he is placed within the 92nd percentile in screener mobile defense. Drivers always need to be aware of his presence. He will not rack up hefty block totals, but he can and does get up there to reject shots.
And Mitchell, Mobley with a right hand knocked away by Bryant.
Challenges. There are definitely challenges and hurdles too. First of which is a limited margin for error. With a non-guaranteed deal, his chances depend heavily on impact and limited minutes. And speaking of minutes, there will be a competition for those. He must outperform other backups and carve out a rotation spot. Here's the thing. With Evan Mobley, Jarrett Allen, Larry Nance Jr., DeAndre Hunter, and even Dean Wade all vying for minutes in a suddenly deep front court, Bryant is likely the odd man out most nights. He will have to carve out a role doing whatever is asked of him, mostly in reserve or blowout minutes at first, whether that be space on the floor or providing an intimidating interior presence defensively. Consistency. While flashes of perimeter spacing are good, game-to-game reliability probably matters more to Cleveland, especially for a deep reserve who may be called upon when the starters need rest, especially on back-to-backs. And last but not least, health, which is probably the most important of all. Bryant's career has been marred by injuries, including an ACL tear back in 2021. His availability and durability remain concerns at this point in his career. But on the bright side, it's not like you'd be asking Bryant to suit up every game. This will limit his exposure to possible injury, so I really wouldn't worry too much about this one. Role. Let's be frank, Bryant is likely to be a deep reserve big behind Evan Mobley, Jarrett Allen, and Larry Nance Jr. at the center position. Now I can hear the collective groans and sighs from you guys about Nance at the 5, but the reality is that they probably are going to prefer his versatility out there to begin the season. That makes a statistical prediction kind of tough, but here's my projection for Bryant's 2025-26 season. I think he appears in over 60 games, mostly due to blowouts. In terms of a stat line, I think he'll average around 5.3 points and 3.4 rebounds per game while posting a career high in field goal percentage due to the good looks he'll get. Let's say 66.4% from the field, including 36% from three-point range. He'll get the occasional double-digit scoring game when starting or playing extended minutes, especially if the Cavaliers end up load managing during the season. I think he'll be a glue guy in the back end of the regular season rotation who will provide solid depth, keep the bench stable, and be ready in spot duty. And I'm also going to predict that Bryant will indeed be called upon during the playoffs at some point for a particular matchup, whether that be against the likes of his former teammate Miles Turner over in Milwaukee, Wendell Carter Jr. over in Atlanta, or Mitchell Robinson in New York. And what I will say is that his addition gives Kenny Atkinson some crazy levels of versatility in this lineup. For real, if Cleveland wants, they can go through a lot of size at teams. I am already imagining the silliness of size-based lineups like Lonzo Ball, Jalen Tyson, DeAndre Hunter, Evan Mobley, and Thomas Bryant. There are just so many possibilities. Something else that I would consider valuable is that this is a guy who has 23 games of postseason experience under his belt. More experience towards the back end of your bench is never a bad thing. Ultimately, if all goes well, he could swing from being a role filler to a valuable 8 to 10 10 minutes per game contributor. And if things don't click, his non-guaranteed status could make him vulnerable to roster changes mid-season. Thomas Bryant's 2025-26 season is one of opportunity. With a fresh team in Cleveland and a one-year deal, it's a make or prove kind of year. He has shown glimpses of what he can do when given the green light. Now it's about consistency, fit, and seizing the moment. If you enjoyed this breakdown, smash that like button, subscribe for more NBA previews, and drop your predictions in the comments. What kind of season will Thomas Bryant have? Thanks for watching, and as always, go Cavs.
Indiana has led by as many as 12. They were up 6 at halftime. Mobley extends, and Bryant gets him at the rim.